Every Monday, a restart costs you 3.4 hours of pure reorientation. You do this 2 to 4 times per quarter. That's up to 54 hours a year you paid to feel fresh. By the end of this video, you'll understand the exact mechanism that turns "I'll start Monday" into the most expensive sentence in your week. Not the procrastination story you've heard, the math underneath it. 3 separate costs stack inside every restart and you've been counting one. The other 2 are bigger. If you've ever closed a laptop on Friday telling yourself you'd come back Monday with fresh eyes, you already paid the bill. You just didn't read the receipt. The Monday restart looks like a reset. It feels like discipline. You close out the week. You let things breathe. You plan to come back sharp. Here's what's actually happening underneath. Cal Newport's work on cognitive context shows that task switching leaves behind what he calls attention residue. The unfinished work keeps consuming bandwidth even after you've stepped away. Sophie Leroy's research at the University of Minnesota measured this directly. People who stop a task mid-flow and return to it later perform measurably worse on the resumed task, sometimes for hours. Now scale that from a 1-hour interruption to a 60-hour weekend gap. The decisions you made Thursday, why you picked this feature, why you killed that one, what the next bottleneck was, those aren't in your head anymore Monday morning. They're in fragments across Notion, Slack, 3 browser tabs, and a note you wrote to yourself that says, "Fix the thing." The solopreneur version is worse than the corporate version. You have no team to rebrief you, no stand-up, no PM rebuilding the context for you. You're the only person who knew where you were on Friday at 5 p.m., and by Monday at 10 a.m. that person is gone. You have to become them again. That rebecoming takes 3.4 hours on average, sometimes more. And you've been calling it getting back into it. Cost number 1 is context reconstruction. When you close the laptop Friday at 6 p.m., you're holding maybe 40 to 60 pieces of live working memory. The current bug, the half-finished email, the decision you were about to make about pricing, the question you wanted to ask a customer. By Monday morning, most of those are gone. Not because you're forgetful, because human working memory has a half-life measured in minutes, not days. Research on prospective memory shows that intentions you don't capture externally degrade fast, and after a 60-hour gap, they're effectively wiped. So Monday morning, you reopen the project, you stare at it, you reread your own code or your own copy, you try to remember why past you made this choice, you ask, "Where was I?" 4 times before lunch. If you closed a laptop Friday afternoon promising yourself Monday would be productive, and Monday morning you spent 2 hours just catching up before doing real work, that wasn't catching up, that was paying the context bill. Mechanical fix. Before you close the laptop on Friday, write a 5-bullet handoff note to Monday you. Where you were, what's next, what the open question is. Save it as the first thing that opens when you boot up. The note costs 4 minutes, it saves 2 hours. Cost number 2 is harder to see because it doesn't look like a cost. It looks like motivation. Inside a flow streak, say 3 productive days in a row, your brain has built a small reward loop around the project itself. Each small completion releases a hit of dopamine. That hit makes the next task easier to start. This is documented across behavioral neuroscience. Streaks are self-reinforcing because the reward chemistry compounds. Take a 2-day break. The loop doesn't pause. It resets. Monday morning, your brain is no longer associating this project with reward. It's a cold start. The same task that felt magnetic on Thursday afternoon feels like sandpaper on Monday morning. This is why you open Twitter instead of the doc. Not because you're lazy, because the dopamine prediction model in your head correctly calculates that Twitter has a higher expected reward than this cold project right now. Your brain is doing math, it's just doing it against you. If you've ever sat down Monday at 9 a.m. with a clear calendar and 0 excuses and still done nothing useful until 11, this is the loop, not character. Chemistry. Mechanical fix. Schedule a 25-minute trivial completion task as the first slot Monday morning. Reply to 3 emails, close 2 tabs, ship 1 tiny commit. You're not warming up, you're reinstalling the dopamine loop before tackling anything hard. Cost number 3 is the one nobody counts, the opportunity that died because you waited. You had momentum Thursday, a customer was about to reply. A bug fix was 70% done. A draft was nearly ready. You decided to let it breathe over the weekend. Monday you come back. The customer cooled off. The bug is now tangled with something else you can't remember. The draft reads like a stranger wrote it. The 70% completion you held on Thursday is now 50% because the unfinished edges have decayed in your head. Why Combinators publish post-mortems repeatedly cite the same failure mode in solo founders. Not lack of ideas, not lack of work. Failure to ship inside the window when the work was alive. The Indie Hackers public dataset shows the same pattern. Most abandoned projects weren't abandoned at 0%. They were abandoned somewhere between 60 and 80 after a restart that never recovered the original velocity. You didn't lose the project on Monday. You lost it Friday at 6 p.m. when you closed the lid on something that was already moving. Mechanical fix. If any task is above 60% complete on Friday, you don't close the laptop. You finish it or you ship the incomplete version. The rule is binary. No fresh eyes Monday. Fresh eyes is the lie that costs you the project. Now stack it. One restart costs you 3.4 hours of pure reorientation, plus the dopamine reset. Call that another 2 hours of low output drift, plus the opportunity cost of whatever decayed in the gap. Conservatively, one restart costs you a full working day. The average solo founder I've watched run this loop restarts 2 to 4 times per quarter. New year, new month, new product idea, post-vacation, post-flu, post-launch flop. Each one feels justified in isolation. Stacked, they consume 27 to 54 hours per quarter. That's 6 full workdays a year, minimum. For a solo founder operating on thin time, 6 workdays is the difference between a launched product and an abandoned one. If you've started this project, paused it, and restarted it more than once in the last 90 days, you're not building a product, you're paying a tax, and the tax compounds. Mechanical fix, track restarts, one line in a notes app. Date, reason, what state the project was in when you paused. Make the invisible visible. You can't fix what you don't count. The final layer is the planning theater that makes the restart feel productive. Sunday night you open a doc, you write week of, and you list 12 things. You feel good. You close the doc. Monday morning, you don't open it again until Tuesday. Wednesday, you rewrite it. Thursday, you ignore it. This isn't planning. This is the ritual that lets you defer real work without feeling like you deferred it. The doc is a placebo, mechanical fix. Kill the Sunday planning ritual entirely. Replace it with the Friday handoff note from sub-point 1. Plan from inside the work, not from outside it. Here's the synthesis. The Monday restart is not one cost. It's 3. Context reconstruction, dopamine reset, opportunity decay. Each one alone is survivable. Stacked, they cost you 27 to 54 hours per quarter, 6 workdays a year you didn't know you were spending. The sentence, "I'll start Monday," isn't lazy, it's expensive. It's the most expensive sentence in solopreneur English because it sounds like discipline and costs like a week of work. You're not the founder who can't start, you're the founder who keeps paying to start over. Install this tomorrow morning. 3 steps, 15 minutes total. 1. Create a text file called handoff.md in your project folder and configure it to auto-open every time you boot your laptop. 2. Schedule a recurring 4 p.m. Friday calendar block titled 5-Bullet Handoff, where you write where you stopped, what's next, and the one open question. 3. Add a rule to your task manager that any task above 60% complete cannot be deferred past the same workday. It ships incomplete or it finishes. That's it. No mindset, no mantra. 3 mechanical changes that eliminate the gap where the cost lives. You opened this video because you felt the Monday drag and didn't have a name for it. Now you do. It's a 54-hour invoice you've been signing without reading. Stop signing it. If this landed, subscribe. There's a new one every week breaking down the specific mechanisms that eat solo founder time, not the motivational version, the math version. Next week, why your deep work block is mathematically too short to do deep work and the exact minimum threshold the research actually supports. Most